I'll make the recording available for folks that couldn't join us live or in class. Welcome to Golden Gate University. I think I pretty much know everybody here. We have folks here from Stanford, from Golden Gate University, and we any other schools? Anybody else wandering? It's not raining outside, so I don't think people came in just to get out of the rain. So welcome. My name is John Lord. I am the director of the CPA Applied program here at Golden Gate University, which I'll be providing some information about that program towards the end of the presentation today. We also, as you saw, have David Hempfield, who is the information officer for the California State Board of Accountancy. He'll talk more about the mission of the organization, but they are the organization that look into getting you certified, sit for the exam, getting your license. They regulate people like me to make sure I'm following all the rules of the CPA, et cetera. So we'll talk a little bit about that. And then he's going to talk about the requirements to sit for the exam, licensure, and some important changes that are coming under Assembly Bill 1175, and I think that's intimately going to be signed by the governor, and he can give us an update on that. In addition, we're going to hear from Lupe Casillas. She's here from Becker, because we do use the Becker materials to teach the CPA exam here, or CPA Applied program, so she'll talk a little bit about those materials. I also want to introduce Farima Kapoor. Farima is the chair of the accounting department. So she oversees all the process, all the accounting classes, including the CPA Applied program. And hopefully, guys, as we move along here, we'll be able to get rid of that sort of annoying echo. David, I know, knows how to project. Yeah, we want to do two things. One, something we can get rid of that echo, so we don't have to hear the slap back of people that are talking in the room. And then can they still hear us in the Zoom session though? If we do that? Maybe we turn it off and ask the Zoom folks to tell us if they can hear us. See what it is.
Testing.
Test 1, 2. Okay, but can they hear us in the Zoom meeting?
Yes.
Can you guys hear us in the Zoom meeting? He's doing something.
Yes, we can.
David, can you hear us?
Yes. Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, and then the other problem we're having is we can't hear him. He's going to be speaking.
Let me see if there's. This is your laptop, right? Or is this?
This is my laptop. This is the, I'm logged into Zoom here. I don't know how he got it on here so that. David's muted now. So yeah.
Yeah, I can give you a test whenever you need me to. Test.
Is this microphone?
That's just for the.
Okay. Can you hear?
Testing one, two. Can you guys hear us?
Yeah.
Okay, so David, can you go ahead and knock, please?
Yeah. Yes.
David?
Yeah, yes, hello. California Board of Accountancy, can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Sound loud and clear.
Wonderful.
Just setting.
Okay. Okay. All right. Okay, cool. All right, thank you, sir. Appreciate it. Okay, so I think we're ready to go. David, we're gonna let you share screen now.
Okay,
Stop share. And I'm going to share. And I mean, I can stop share. Oh, okay, yeah, you can share. Okay. Okay, I think we're there.
I think we did it. Hang on, let me get my,
All right, guys, so let's go ahead and get started. Appreciate your patience, and Dave, we're gonna go ahead and let you take it away.
all right, off we go. Well, hey, thank you all. So my name is David Hemphill. I'm the head of the outreach team here at the CBA. And so we're doing something we're calling the campus tour because of everything that John just mentioned about the new bill that's about to pass. And there are some changes coming to the requirements. And forgive me, since I was unable to share my slides, I have my notes now over here. So I'm not going to be looking directly into your eyes my entire speech. So I apologize for that. I'm going to be looking over here, but hopefully that's okay. But anyway, so this campus tour, because we're trying to get out to as many universities and colleges this academic year as we can to make sure you all are armed with the information that you need to make the right decisions and you're confident on your road to becoming a CPA. And we had kind of the fun idea of making like a t-shirt looking thing in campus tour. So that's what this is all about. So that's kind of fun. So we feel strongly that these changes are likely to have a positive effect on your journey to becoming a CPA. And hopefully you'll agree after hearing everything today. So just briefly, I want to let you know a little bit, what exactly is the CBA? What do we do? So the California Board of Accountancy is the state agency that regulates public accountancy in California. We issue CPA licenses to individuals who meet the rigorous requirements set by state law. So everything we do is set in law. So there's really no wiggle room. So everything is in there. And when we want to change the rules, we got to change the law. And that's why this is such a big deal, because the law is about to change, which we'll discuss. There's about 116,000 licensees from firms to CPAs. That's including the retired and all of those, but that's a lot. So we have a big job here in California. But our mission, as you see there, is to protect consumers. So the individuals and businesses that rely on CPAs in California, we want to make sure that when consumers hire a licensed CPA, they'll be receiving quality services that meet professional standards from individuals they can trust. So that mission is the backbone of everything we do at the CBA. So the actual board is made up of 15 members. So it's a 15-member board composed of both public and professional members. So that structure ensures that diverse perspectives and expertise really abounds. The public members bring that essential consumer-focused viewpoint. The professional members, or the CPAs on the board, contribute their professional insight, of course. Then we have a staff of about 100 individuals that carries out the mission of consumer protection, carries out everything the board directs us to do. And the staff is made up in 3 divisions: licensing, enforcement, and administration. Licensing does just what we would think they would do, making sure that all applicants meet the requirements. And once they do, we give you the license. But since the accounting profession is always evolving, the CBA requires ongoing continuing education, or CE, for license renewal to ensure that all CPAs are staying up to date with industry trends and continue to enhance their knowledge and skills, maintaining the high standards of our profession. So that way the letters CPA will continue to be synonymous with trust and financial knowledge when you get those letters behind your name soon. The enforcement division steps in if a licensee is not acting in a trustworthy manner. The enforcement division follows up on all the complaints that we receive and takes disciplinary action if necessary. Then we have the administration division. That includes my team with outreach and do everything from IT to budget, business services, and they even oversee legislation such as AB 1175, which we're going to be talking about shortly. So on your journey to become a CPA, remember that the CBA, we're here to help. We really are. And we're going to have a relationship that's going to last your entire life. It's kind of weird to say that, but it's really going to be a lifelong partnership. From today to the day you retire, the CBA will be present throughout your professional life, offering support, guidance, and resources. We're always just a phone call away or email, ready to assist with questions or challenges. So we are committed to ensuring your success and upholding the integrity of the accounting profession. So you can rely on us as your partner in this ever-evolving field. All right, so you're going to hear a lot of detailed information. Let's roll up our sleeves and jump into this. If you're unsure about anything I talk about, I'm going to open it up for questions at a couple of points throughout my presentation. So be ready for that. We can take some questions. So why are these changes happening? In early 2023, over 2 years ago, the CBA directed staff to look into how we could potentially clarify and maybe even streamline the licensure requirements so students like you and others could have a better understanding of them. We launched something we called the Sure CPA project, which stood for Students Understanding the Requirements to be a CPA. Sure CPA sounds a little better. For more than a year, the CBA engaged all sorts of interested parties from faculty and students, other state boards of accountancy, accounting firms. We used all of this collaboration to come up with a legislative proposal that the CBA approved last September. Since then, the proposal was introduced into the legislature as CBA-sponsored Assembly Bill 1175. And just last month, it finished its journey through the long legislative process. Believe me, there's a lot going on. Committee meetings, votes, all this stuff. We're now just one step away. The governor's signature is the last thing before it becomes law. And the governor has until October 9th to sign the bill. So we're at some point in the next 8 days, we will finally be able to say that the bill has passed, assuming he's going to sign it. But there was no opposition. There wasn't even a single nay or no vote at any point. So we're feeling pretty confident that he will sign the bill at some point soon. So culmination of a lot of hard work. We're all excited and ready to spread the word. So when is all this going to take effect? So let's take a look at this timeline here. Graphic gives you a rough timeline, how things are going right now. We're finishing off that brown section, the legislative process, and we're going to be done with that. So October 12th is technically the last day, but for our bill, it'll be the 9th. So that's coming soon. Then once he signs it, then kind of the big pillar there in the middle, you see January 1st, 2026. That's the official effective date of the bill. So part of the provisions that have to do with mobility will take effect that day. But if you see there's that green section down below covering the entire year of 2026, it says implementation window. So there is going to be 12 months before the licensure requirements. So the ones that you are really caring about, those will kick in January 1st of 2027. So you see the kind of the green arrow, new licensure pathway. So that starts 2027. So then if you see 2027 and 2028, for those 2 years, both sets of rules will be valid. So you can choose for yourself whether you want to apply under the current, or we're going to start calling it legacy, pathway, or whether you want to use the rules in the Assembly Bill, the new licensure pathway. So from all of 2027 and 2028, 2 calendar years, your choice. And then beginning in 2029, it's going to be all about the new requirements, and the current requirements will be no longer valid. All right, so let's get into the requirements. But since we're still about, 15 months away from the new requirements kicking in 2027, let's start with the current requirements so you know the way it is now, and then I'll get into what's changing and we'll see what the differences are. So we like to lump the CPA licensure requirements into 3 groups. We call them the 3 E's since they all start with the letter E. You got examination, education, and experience. So the first E is pretty straightforward. You see it here. It's examination, and essentially you have to pass the uniform CPA examination or CPA exam. So I'll discuss a little more about the exam in a little bit, but right now let's stay focused on the requirements. So there are some you need to meet before we will allow you to sit for the CPA exam, and you see them right here on your screen. First, you need to earn a bachelor's degree, and that can be in any field. Doesn't have to be accounting, it could be any field. Then you have to have completed 24 semester units of accounting courses and 24 semester units of business-related courses. So that's it. Bachelor's degree, and then 24 accounting, 24 business. Once you have met those, you are allowed and approved to go take the CPA exam. Now, something else that's kind of a recent development, something called early entry, means you don't even necessarily have to have all of that completely finished before you apply. So here's the rule with early entry. If you're within 180 days, which is about 6 months, so essentially within the semester, then you can apply for the exam before finishing your degree and necessary units. But you just have to have them completed, within that amount of time. So that's called early entry. So you could, if you're graduating this December, if you're graduating this fall, you could actually apply now, and we would approve you as long as we see the classes you're taking. You could be approved to get started right then with early entry. All right, so that's the first E, examination. Now the second E, which is education. Now you satisfied a lot of the educational requirements with what we just talked about, bachelor's 24-24, but there are a few additional requirements for licensure. And this is the part that's going to be going away under the new rules. But for now, let's focus on the way it is now. So in addition to what you just did for the exam, you'll need to complete an additional 20 semester units of accounting study. You need to complete 10 semester units of ethics study, and then you need to have that total of 150 semester units, a minimum of 150 total units. Now, a lot of students ask, they wonder what classes count for the 150, and the good news is all of them. They basically all do. So if you count the 24-24, then the 20 and the 10, that accounts for about half of the 150. Like I threw in a little accounting joke there. So about half of the 150. Besides that, anything counts. So you can get, up to that 150 however you need to. Ballroom dancing counts. You need to go there. I took that in college at some point. There was a little swing revival in the late 90s. So there you go. There's your education requirements. All right, third E is experience. So the experience requirement, have to complete 1 year of general accounting experience under the supervision of an actively licensed CPA. So that last part is key, right? Your employer, immediate supervisor, needs to be actively licensed the entire 12 months. And we recommend you making sure your employer knows that you're going to be a CPA and make sure that nothing's going to change, because we've heard some sob stories where they didn't realize it, but 6 months in, the supervisor let their, not let, probably on purpose, went maybe inactive. So if it's an inactive CPA, then that doesn't count. It has to be an actively licensed CPA for the 12 months. One good thing here, an additional note, is that internships and even volunteering can count for this. It doesn't have to be paid to count for the 12 months of experience. The 12 months doesn't have to be consecutive. Doesn't even have to be at one specific position. So there is your 12 months, but they do all have to be under that actively licensed CPA. Now let's talk a little bit about a test authority. So if you complete the general accounting experience, what you see here, that'll allow you to perform all of the services of a CPA except for signing reports on attest engagements. That's audits, reviews of financial statements, examinations of prospective financial information. So if you're just a general licensee, you can participate in these functions, but you can't sign them unless you have a test experience. Sometimes we just refer to that as a test authority. So to get that attest authority, you have to have completed a minimum of 500 hours in attest functions during that 12 months under the supervision of a licensed CPA who also has that attest authority. All right, so it's just one license, but we say it's either just you have either the general experience or you have the attest experience. And you could even start as one, and then if you complete your 500 hours, then you could shift over and get that attest authority. All right, so those are your 3 E's: examination, education, experience. Last thing, after you do all that, you're almost there, but you have to submit some fingerprints. So we're going to do a criminal history background check on you. So that'll be the last thing. So those current requirements that we just went through go all the way until December 31st, 2028, right? You have all the way until the end of 2028. So a little over 3 years where those will still be accepted. So if you're close to graduating and this is what you've been planning for, keep going. You're fine. You've got plenty of time to still go with these requirements. All right, but thanks to Assembly Bill 1175, a lot of things are going to be changing beginning in 2027. So I've been hyping them up. Let's talk about them. So here we go. So one of the reasons, like I mentioned, that we're undergoing this whole endeavor is that we want to make the licensure requirements a little easier to understand. Like, a lot of people were confused about that additional 20 and 10, right? There's 24 accounting units, but then there's 20 more units of accounting study, and there were lots of different specific things that went in that. So all that is gone. Trust me, it's so much more streamlined now, and hopefully you'll agree that it is easier to understand. So all you got to know is passage of the CPA exam, nothing changes there, examination. Education, bachelor's degree, accounting concentration of courses, all right? The bachelor's degree can, again, be in any subject, but you just have to have that accounting concentration. That's what you see in orange there. 24 accounting units, 24 business units, 3 ethics units, all right? The one in the middle, the business, could be extra accounting, or it could even be extra ethics. So that could fill in for the 24 business, just so you know that. So let's dig in a little more on that accounting concentration, because that's the one thing that I just want to make sure that you understand. Okay, so let's, yeah, I guess I should say the 24-24-3 is not 100% set in stone, because those are going to be done through regulations, which are going to happen next year. So I don't want to get into the weeds and all that, but that actual 24-24-3 is not in the law. The law, the bill, almost law, calls for an accounting concentration of courses to be specified in regulation. So that's what the regulations are for. Regulations allow a little more flexibility, where if we needed to make a change in the future, we wouldn't have to go back to the legislature and go through that whole process again. Regulations are a little easier to move around. So that's why some of the implementation of the bill is done through regulation. Okay, so bachelor's degree, accounting concentration of courses. So a big difference from the old way, right? So the 20 and 10 are gone. So additionally, the 150 total unit requirement is gone. And I want to make a note here that the requirements for education are now the same for examination and licensure, right? Before, you had those for exam, bachelor's 24-24, then you had the additional requirements. Now that is gone. So for examination, you have to complete the bachelor's, the 24 and the 24, same as it was before. But now that 3 ethics units is going to be part of the examination prerequisites, if you will, and also education. So once you're approved for the education requirements for exam, you don't have to worry about it for licensure because it's the same thing. There's no additional anything. So now the education requirements are the education requirements, and it's the same whether you're applying for examination and licensure. So that's easier and a little more, a little more straightforward too. All right, what else? Zipping through all this. So one thing that is part of the bill that is going to be interesting is that the CBA is looking to recognize certain universities' degrees. So that way, we know that the accounting concentration is met. So if you graduate and will apply, starting with the new rules in 2027, and Golden Gate University has gone through the process, and the CBA recognizes the degree, which basically that's us saying that, okay, yes, if you graduate with that degree from Golden Gate, you will have met the accounting concentration of courses. So when we get your transcript, when you're applying for licensure, we're not even going to look at individual courses. We're just going to look at your degree and say, all right, we recognize that degree. All we need to see is that the degree is conferred on your transcript, and you're in, you're done. So that gives, that's a benefit to the university. They can kind of sell that as, hey, you come here, you graduate with our degree, you've met all the education requirements. And for you as students, that will give you hopefully a little less anxiety, because right now, a lot of students, I hate to say this, but they're not sure exactly which bucket. Is this going to count for ethics? What counts for accounting study? And they don't know which classes are going to fit. And so there's, like I said, there's a little anxiety when we go out there. So we're hoping that a lot of that will go away with this new set of requirements. And you all will just feel really confident throughout your whole college career that you're on the right path. And once you're done, you'll have everything met. So that's something that we're really excited about. I want to talk just a little bit about the experience requirement, because that is changing just a bit. So that 150 is going away. So for a lot of people, that meant a 5th year of school, right? I mean, some people did get it in the 4 years if they're really studious, I suppose. But for a lot of people, they did have to go back to school. Some went to a community college. Some obviously went on to do a master's. So there were lots of ways you could get to that 150. So instead, with that 150 going away, so instead of paying for that extra year of school, now the education requirement is gone up to 2 years. So essentially now you can start getting paid kind of for that extra year to get accounted for. So same rules, 2 years under an actively licensed CPA as your supervisor. So with the new requirements, it is now a 2-year experience requirement. If you see on the right here, there's a little flexibility that we've added in that we think is pretty good. For those of you who do want to continue on with your master's, which we definitely think is a great idea, that will substitute for 12 months of experience. So if you do continue on with a master's, then your experience requirement is right back to the 1 year, right? Okay, so if you do go for that extra year of school, we'll knock it back to 12 months of experience. There is another thing that probably applies more to community college, or even a lot of universities have extended studies programs for people that are, already in the workforce doing something else that maybe want to become a CPA. Maybe they're working in finance. They just never decided to go for their CPA. So there's also something we're going to recognize certificates for a substitution of 6 months of experience. So for those individuals who want to go back to a community college, that will fulfill their accounting concentration and knock off 6 months of experience. So there's a little more built-in flexibility. We want to, some people really saw that 150 units, that 5th year of school, is kind of a barrier to entry. There was a lot of data about, especially in, minority communities, that it was really hard for them to follow through with that. So we like the idea of this profession being accessible to everyone. And so the flexibility that's kind of built in this is something that we're pretty happy about. All right, so that was a lot of information. I'll pause right now and I'm open for questions. John, I'm not sure if you want to, in the room, if they can speak up, maybe you could relay it to me if I'm unable to hear them, or maybe people can unmute themselves on Zoom, however you want to do it. But yeah, let's take some questions here.
Me, David, right now?
Yeah.
David? Yeah, okay, I have a couple questions. So let me start. So the question that I have, let's say my undergraduate study is in engineering. So I have an undergraduate degree, and now I enter, say, a master's program, say Golden Gate. And that master's program requires me to obtain 24 units of accounting, 24 units of business, or say a bunch of accounting, I don't know. Because I can use accounting units for business units. And I get 3 ethics units, and I get my master's of accounting.
So so there is a little bit, and this is a good question that comes up. I don't usually throw it into what I actually say because it's a little confusing, but it's perfect for a Q&A setting. So for that master's degree to be able to substitute for 12 months, it really depends on what your undergraduate degree is. So in your example, if you're an engineering undergraduate, your master's would need to be in accounting law, laws, and there's one more, but accounting related. So you can't have a bachelor's degree in engineering and then you get your master's in just, say, business. the master's would have to be specific accounting in order for that 12 months of experience substitution. Or vice versa, though. If your undergrad is in accounting, then your master's options are wider. They'll be in, it could be related fields, business, economics. We have a list of related fields. So if your bachelor's is in accounting, then you have a broader option in your master's studies that will substitute for the 12 months.
And in order for me to, so just go back to the bachelor's engineering, I enter program master's accounting. To sit for the exam, that master's accounting would obviously have to carry with it 24 accounting, 24 business, and 3
Correct.
ethics, right?
Correct. Yes. Yes.
Okay, and with all that, then I just need 1 year of experience instead of 2.
Correct. Yes. And we are allowing potentially some prerequisites to count. But that's part of what's getting fleshed out in these regulations. So that's part of what the 12-month implementation window is going to do. As far as, you know, if they didn't take certain, well, that's probably all I'll say there. There might be some prerequisites allowed as part of the master's.
Outside of the master's program, so I had to take introduction to get into the master's program. Your regulation will explore how those classes will count.
Yes, yeah, that's the plan. But again, that'll all get hashed out next year. But yes, that's
okay. My second question, if I am going to the community college option, then I have a bachelor's in anything, and then I go to the community college to get the units I need to sit for the exam, and they have a certificate, then I only need 18 months of experience?
correct. Yes. And in order for us to recognize the certificate, the community college, it has to satisfy the accounting concentration. So we're not going to recognize a certificate if that 24-24-3 is not part of it. So
Are you going to recognize master's programs?
yes, we will also recognize master's degrees. So the recognized degrees that I was talking about could be bachelor's and master's. So we could potentially recognize 2 degrees at a certain university. Yes.
Okay. All right, those are my nerdy accounting teacher questions.
Yeah.
Guys, anybody in the room? Question? Gentleman in the blue shirt.
That's my situation. I have a bachelor's in biology and currently in the master's program, but there are no business classes that's part of that master's program. So is that still gonna count?
David, the question is, hey, I have a bachelor's in biology, and now I'm in a master's program that doesn't carry business classes. Will I still be able to meet the business requirement, I guess, by taking additional accounting classes? Because
You
have
Completing the.
Yeah, I mean, essentially, you would just have to kind of fill them in on your own. You know, you'll just have to take the courses that'll get you to that number of 24. Is the master's not in accounting, or is it in accounting?
No, it's an accounting master's.
Okay. So that's good. So then, you know, starting in 2027, then you can get that 12-month substitution. So your experience would go back to 1 year. But yeah, you will have to somehow end up with that 24. Although remember, I said the 24 business could be substituted with extra accounting or ethics. So if you had 12 business units and somehow ended up with 36 accounting units, I'm not sure how many you know accounting courses you have, but that would work, right? You can substitute accounting or ethics for that 24 business. So that's an option.
So what we're doing is we're maybe confusing the exam requirements. The exam is 24. You can use extra accounting units beyond the 24 to help meet the business requirements. The 3 ethics, you're good for the exam. These are under the new requirements. For licensure, you'll get a reduction of the 1 year because you were in a master's program. And it doesn't start to count up the units at that. Right, David?
Yes, correct. Yeah, because now the difference when the new rules kick in is today, in the old days, you passed the exam, you still had to send us more transcripts to worry about those extra things, the 2010 and the 150, and then experience. Whereas with the new rules, you'll pass the exam and you will already have satisfied the education. So once you pass the exam, the only thing you need to worry about is the experience. So that will kind of be the new, the new reality starting in 2027.
In a master's program, you only need 1 year. Go ahead.
Can I ask you about, as of tomorrow, I will have 2 years of accounting experience under a CPA, but I won't take the exam for like a year. Can she retire and I'm good?
The question is, he's gonna have 2 years of experience and the person's gonna retire, and my answer is that she needs to fill out your experience immediately.
I would get that. Yeah. I mean, you're fine. As long as she was active for those 2 years, you're fine. But yeah, like John says, don't let her retire off and go to the Bahamas and you can't reach her to fill out your form. The form is on the website. So I would get that signed, as soon as you can.
Form E or Form G, depending on whether it's a test license or not a test license. To my understanding, David, there is no shelf life on experience. However, if the experience is more than 5 years, then I believe a candidate would have to take some CPE, continuing professional education classes, to in effect update your experience. So if you waited 5 years, to then go for licensure, they might say, well, that's a little old on the experience. We're gonna make you take some CPE to make that up. Is that correct, David?
That's something I have not looked at in quite some time, but that does sound familiar, and I believe you are correct. But I would have to go look that up again because
You have to verify that.
I have not. Yeah, that's one I haven't been asked in a while. But I think you're right.
The manual in my sleep, so, but
Yeah.
that's in my head somewhere, but
Yeah.
I'm not sure.
yeah. Question? Lupe?
Yes, so I get this question asked quite a bit about if when they had experience under a licensed CPA, but they're not active anymore, would that still qualify in terms of the experience at that time, since they were a licensed CPA?
Yeah, it just matters, during those 12 months when they were, getting that experience. Yeah, they don't have to still be active 2 years later. That's fine. As long as they were active during that entire time. And believe me, we check because we know when people are active and inactive. So yeah, as long as they were, they could be gone inactive after the fact, but as long as they're active that full 12 months, it's good.
Question?
Just gonna ask, was there any change to the 500-hour test experience?
Any changes, David, for the 500 hours of a test experience? Guys, a test experience, remember I talked in class about how the CPA signs the financial statements and then you can rely on them, okay? As investors and creditors can rely on them. You can get a license, a general license, which means you have experience using accounting data in your work, but you're not doing a test functions. Once you get to a test functions, you're searching for unrecorded liabilities. You're looking at full disclosure financial statements, etc. Once you're doing that, you have to get at least 500 hours under the current requirements of a test experience. 500 hours are 2,080 work hours in a year. So 500 hours constitutes what, about a quarter of the year. In other words, they don't want somebody doing all non-attest work. They got on one audit that takes, a week to complete, and then they say, okay, I have the attest experience, give me the license. It has to accumulate to 500 hours. And the question is, David, is that changing under the 1175?
Yeah, no changes to that at all.
If a person were to get a non-attest license, just the general license, and then they went back later and got the 500 hours, then they could, if you will, tax people don't throw anything at me, upgrade to an attest license. I have an attest license, so I'm not objecting in my opinion that that's an upgrade.
Yeah, that happens.
Question? Come on, guys, this is the, you're not gonna get a better chance to talk. We're talking to God now. We're getting answers to all our life's questions. Bill's out a good boy. Let's let, the lady, we'll get back to you, sir.
What about tax instead of accounting?
Tax, it does not count as a test. It'll count as experience for the general license, but doing taxes is not an attest function. You have to do an audit.
Sorry, the tax, the 24.
Oh, units of tax, yeah,
Yeah.
tax, right, David, is still gonna count as an accounting.
Well, I assume it's, yeah, if it's given, we essentially look at the department. If it's given within the accounting department, all those classes are gonna count.
We have a separate school of tax here, though, but so that would count too, right? Does
Oh,
it count?
yeah, I'm certain.
In other words, they're in a tax designation. Sometimes you go to a school like, say, San Jose State. In San Jose State, everything's under the business department. So it'll say business, whatever, I forget what it is at San Jose State. Anyway, stop, John, trying to remember, business
Yeah.
20 or whatever it is.
Our
Then-
licensing staff knows all that. The people that actually look through the transcripts, I'm sure they know every school and, what they're
They
looking
look to
for on each one, but that's not
title.
exactly the department.
Then it would have to have accounting somewhere in the title. Big change though is those 3 units of ethics, right? I mean, that is something that you currently do not have to sit for the exam. Under 1175, you will have to complete an ethics class, 3 units of ethics, right? And it's
Correct.
specific industry, accounting industry ethics, right?
It does need to be accounting ethics, but also audit and fraud counts in there as well.
Oh, good. Oh, that's great.
Yeah. So it is a little more under the 10. There was a lot more options of what would count, so it's a little more limited. We want it to be accounting ethics or auditor. So.
But under the 10, the current ethics requirements, you had to have that specific class in accounting ethics. Now you're saying they're including fraud and auditing under that sort of accounting ethics umbrella.
That was in there, that's in the 10 as well. But I think part of the 10, 4 units had to be accounting ethics. So we've just, like I said, now that it's just the 3 units, we're a little more specific with what we will count for those 3 units.
Sir?
So, the CPA, say I work for a CPA and his specialty is in taxation. But I just heard it said that I would have to do, I would need to work with somebody with auditing CPA to fill the requirement.
They would have to have an attest license. So that doesn't mean that someone who is now specialized in tax can't have an attest license. They may very well have an attest license. Back in the olden days, that's all you had was an attest license. So if you were working for someone old like me, that's all they got. It's an attest license. Now, maybe someone with a general license, David, their sign off wouldn't count, right? They'd have to be somebody with an attest license.
For the 500 hours, it needs to be someone with an attest license.
Oh, they could sign off on the CPA with a general license and on the 1 year of experience?
Correct.
Oh, okay. I thought we had said it had to be an attest license to sign off on.
No, that's only if only if the candidate is also looking for the attest license. But
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
A general licensee can sign off on a general experience.
I got my A's mixed up. You're saying an active license is what it has to be, not an attest.
Correct. Yes. Active. Yes.
Okay, so 2 types of license, because I know we've got this a little confused, my fault. A test license means someone can sign off on financial statements. If you want to be someone that's going to be in a test CPA, meaning you cover those 500 hours, the CPA who signs off also has to be in a test CPA. If you're saying, hey, I'm a tax person, I just want to call myself CPA at Thanksgiving dinner, because I'm not going to be signing off on financial statements, then you can have what? Then you can have a general license CPA sign off on your general license. However, under both situations, they have to be active CPA.
That is correct. Although my executive officer would not like you saying there are 2 licenses. That's his pet peeve. There's only 1 license, but there are 2 experience options. But no big deal.
Okay.
General or test. Yeah.
They can't press a button and turn me into a gas, can they?
Not that I'm aware of.
Okay, oh, that's actually okay. Is there another question? I thought I saw it.
Just for a layperson, is there a case in which the person you're studying under for your general license would only have the attest license, or they would also have a general license as well, in all cases?
It's one or the other.
Okay.
It's either a test or general.
Can an attest, if you're not going from test license just for general, can that be signed, can that be under someone with an attest license, not a general license? Or it has to match your experience, Pat?
David?
No, you can have, yeah, if you're going for general, it can be signed by an attest. That's no big deal. But the only thing, if you're going for a test, it has to be signed by a test. If that was what you were asking.
Yes, thank you.
The gentleman who's gonna see the light tomorrow when you get the 2 years of experience.
Under the legacy requirements, the business related subjects included things like calculus, mathematics, statistics, is that still holding over now? So
It's a
I
great
can
question.
satisfy business classes with calculus and statistics and things like that.
David, under the current requirement, yeah, okay, I wasn't sure if you heard. Yeah.
Well, yeah, I heard it, but what is the exact question? Are you saying, is it the same business requirements under the new rules as the old rules?
Trying to knock out as many classes with what I've done already, so is my calculus and statistics going to qualify as business related? Is it gonna satisfy the new requirements?
I don't think those are changing, but I don't want to definitively say yes because I haven't specifically looked that up. Like I said, I don't think it's changing, but why don't you shoot me an email? I'll have an email address up at the end, and I'll find out for sure for you. I believe the answer is yes, but I don't want to, give you bad advice if I'm not 100% sure.
Anyone else?
This one.
Uh,
So I have a bachelor's in accounting, but I had 10 years in loan. Would that still count under the 24 SAM credits in accounting and business, or doesn't only my master's will count?
Is there any shelf life on education, David? I don't think there is, right?
No, yeah, we have people that apply that, went to school in the 20th century, and it's fine.
So, you finish your accounting degree and then, a motion picture director, action, says, you're my new action hero. And you decide not to sit for the CPA exam and go off and make action movies, make millions of dollars, and then you're sitting in your mansion and you say, but all I ever really wanted to do was be a CPA.
Yes.
Then you can go ahead and go back and take the exam and so forth, assuming you met the requirements 10 years ago or whatever.
Yeah. Yep.
Question.
Education doesn't change that much, does it?
Huh?
That education doesn't change that much, does it?
Not if I can help it. No, I'm just kidding. Question.
Just following up on the attest, so you said, auditors are the ones that normally have the attest license?
Yes, usually it's in the audit function that you've received. If you can go down and download the Form E from the State Board of Accountancy, and it specifically calls out the nature of activities that would constitute a test experience. Confirm looking at inventory, the existence of inventory, confirming accounts receivable, searching for unrecorded liabilities, looking at full disclosure financial statements. I believe they don't say, hey, you have to have so much of this and so much of that, but the totality of that has to constitute no less than 500 hours, which is about a quarter of the work here.
And what was that form from?
Form E.
Form
E,
from
yeah.
the.
You look on the State Board of Accountancy's website or Google, California requirements Form E or something, it's not hard to find. And if you can't find it, I'll give you my card. And
Yeah, and I'll briefly show the website a little later.
Okay.
And I can show you where that is. Yeah.
Questions?
So with the old requirements, are the education requirements on top of the CPA exam requirements, like the 20 semesters of advanced study? Are they on top of the 24 that you have to sit? For the
Under the old requirements?
exam?
Under the old requirements, forgive me,
Yes.
David.
Yeah. What she
24
said was correct. Yeah. So there's an additional 20 accounting subjects in addition to the 24 that's part of the exam requirements.
However, just for our Golden Gate students, if you're in our master's program, the 20 additional units of accounting, you're automatically constituted to have deemed to have met because you're in a master's program. Then for the licensure, you would only need an additional 10 units, which would be the ethics units.
Right.
Question.
Okay, this is cool. I'm having way too much fun. So Farima, was there anything you wanted to add?
And you remember we had a conversation about shorter undergrad degrees, 90 units versus 120. And I was wondering, although it's not very common in a lot of different institutions, but if we adopt 90 units undergrad degree, what happens to this whole formula? And our master's is 30 units.
So David, the question that Farima asked, there's some institutions that are talking about having the bachelor's being conferred
90.
after 90
Yeah.
units. Does the legislation leave that flexibility?
Well, we don't have a total unit requirement. So we're not requiring 120, we're requiring a bachelor's degree. So that did kind of come up because we are aware that that is kind of something that's maybe gaining a little momentum, who knows? But as of now, it calls for a bachelor's degree. So if something, if down the road, if 90 does become a thing and the CBA thinks that the students are not properly prepared, because essentially we're trying to get minimum competency is a word that, I know sometimes academics like to use things like that too. So what are the competencies? So as of right now, we think that, the bachelor's degree and that accounting concentration and the experience makes you competent to begin your career as a CPA. It doesn't make you the best, most experienced CPA, but it is where you need to be when you begin your career as a CPA. So, we could potentially need to adjust if in the future we think that, that new 90 unit bachelor's degree is not churning out students that are appropriately prepared for what they're getting into. But, if that's the case, it's going to be significantly down the road. But like I said, right now, the legislation says bachelor's degree, so we're good.
Thank you.
Awesome. Okay, I know that we're getting a little bit late and so I want to be respectful of folks' time. So I'm going to go ahead and end the questions there. David, did you have some additional information you were going to put up?
If you want me to just go quickly through the application process, I can do that.
Okay, yeah, sorry, I couldn't jump in there. Yeah, please.
Take like 5-10 minutes. I'll zip through this pretty quick, but all right. So just basically the exam. What is it? So you have to pass 4 sections. And there are now 3 core sections and 3 discipline sections that you choose one. So everyone takes the 3 core sections. You see what those are. They're on top. You got your auditing, and your tax, and your accounting. And then you choose one of the 3 discipline sections to kind of show your deeper knowledge in one of those. It doesn't pigeonhole you into that type of practice. There's only one license, but you pick one of those. So 4 sections altogether. When you pass that, then you're good. You get your transcripts to us briefly, 3 ways to do it. We, of course, recommend that they be sent electronically. We're tired of getting all these paper transcripts. Believe me, we've got shelves and shelves of these things trying to go electronic now, which we almost entirely are now. But here are your options. That's the email address to send to. You can do it through a third-party provider, and we have a list of those on the website, as well as a list of foreign credential evaluation services. So if you have some coursework that you completed outside of the US, you will get those evaluated by one of those services. And the list of that is on the website. All right, so how you actually apply for the CPA exam, you're going to create what we call a client account, a CBA client account. So you can do that on our website. And the good news is we are finally realizing it's the 21st century and this is going to be online later this month. I don't even want to give you the Halloween horrors that as of right now, you still have to mail us checks and print out this application. But the good news is by the time you're ready to do it, it's going to be all online. We're very excited that this is finally happening. So that is a good thing. So the application.
Something, a compliment, the board has worked very hard to streamline that, the time it takes to approve an application. What are you, about 3 weeks now?
We're trying. Yeah, for exams, we're about 3 weeks. For licensure, we're at about 2 weeks. So we're moving along pretty good right now.
Yeah.
The goal is 30 days. So we need to get it back to you within a month, but we like to be more in that 2 to 3 week range if we can. All right, so let's see, zip on. So scheduling your sections. This is where it gets a little tricky. You'll learn this, once you go through it, but I'll give you just the really basics, because you're going to get to know an organization called NASBA. That's short for the National Association of State Boards of Accountancy. And then I've got a couple of acronyms here. You got ATT up there, which is not your wireless mobile company. No, it stands for Authorization to Test. So once we approve you, so you send us, you create your account, you send us your transcripts. If you're early entry, you have to send us the transcripts. Plus, there's one other form you have to do just to prove to us that, yes, you will be graduating with the rest of the courses. So once we approve you, then your client account will update and it'll allow you to select your sections. So out of those 4 sections, you can choose 1, you can choose 2, you can choose 3 or 4, which is not really recommended because the next thing you see is an NTS, a notice to schedule. So we will send the ATT to NASBA and then you'll pay your fees and they will then send you this NTS, which is notice to schedule. So then you can actually schedule whatever sections you chose. And that is good for 9 months. Okay. So we recommend, and the order you take the 4 sections, totally up to you. And of course, you need to take into consideration, what's your work schedule? What's your, what are you doing? What are you volunteering? Are you in a kickball league? What are you doing? So you don't want to schedule too much. You want to allow yourselves ample time to study. So within that 9 months of the NTS, you have to schedule and take your exams. If you take too many and the NTS ends after 9 months, you're out those fees. So, and I think it's like $225, $230 that you pay to NASBA for each section. So you don't want to be out those fees. The good news is you can, if you just select, say, 1 for your first NTS, you don't have to wait the 9 months. If you pass it, yay, I'm good. I'm 4 months in. You can start a new NTS. It's not like you have to wait the 9 months for the one to end before you start a new one. So you can essentially have more than 1 NTS happening at any given time. So that's kind of how that works. It's a little tricky, you'll learn, but you'll select your sections on our website in your client account, and then you'll get that NTS, and then that's when you can actually go and schedule them. I'll talk about scheduling in just a sec, but let me look at this real quick. So I take the test, how quickly do I get it back? So if I took a test today, let's say I take FAR today, I studied real good, I think I passed, so missed the September 30th, so it's the next day. So I have to go down to that October 23rd date. And then if you move across, that means the target score release date is November 7th. So I would get my score back on November 7th. Depending on how it works, sometimes you can get it back in as quick as a couple of weeks. Right now, it would take a little over a month. So anyway, November 7th. In order to pass the CPA exam, you have to pass your 4 sections within 30 months. So that's 2.5 years, do the math. So if I took FAR today, then I would have until, so let's go out the months. I have, let's see, November 7th, I would have until May 7th, 2028. Because the clock starts ticking the date you receive your first passing score. All right, so the clock would start ticking for me on November 7th, not today, November 7th, the date I get the score. And then I've got 30 months until May 7th, 2028 to finish the other 3 sections. So if the 30 months goes by and I miss and I don't get the 4th, that unfortunately that first test goes away and you have to redo it. So, but 30 months is all, it used to be 18 months. You used to have to do it up until not that long ago within a year and a half. Now you've got 2.5 years. So that was something we did recently just to make sure you can get there. We're trying to help you get to the finish line. All right, so all of this can be found on the AICPA website. So that's an organization called the American Institute of CPAs. They're the ones who actually write the exam, they score the exam, and they've got a lot of good information here. So if you go to their website, you can get some kind of exam blueprints, sample tests, even some sample questions, and that's all free on there. Of course, there's, Becker and the other paid services that you can go with as well. So those are your options, but we definitely encourage you to take advantage of the resources on that website there. Okay, so when you're actually ready to schedule your test, you're going to do it with a company called Prometric. So Prometric is going to be the ones that will actually administer the test to you. You will physically go to a Prometric test location. It's not something you can take online at home. It'll be online, it'll be on a computer, but you'll be at a Prometric testing center to do that. You can do that on their website. You can schedule on the website right there. And we always encourage you to, schedule ahead, because if your 9 months is starting to run out and you're waiting till 2 weeks before, you may not have an open scheduling slot, before your time is up. One other thing I want to throw out is the 3 core sections are offered year round, essentially every day. You can take those anytime. The 3 discipline sections are only offered for the first month of every quarter. So they're on for 1 month, off for 2 months, on for 1 month, off for 2 months. So that's something else to keep in mind as you're scheduling, to make sure you
They plan to continue to do that. I got the sense that it's because they're still trying to accumulate questions, that they're limiting the.
We are assuming that will change at some point, but they've put out the 2026 schedule and it's still like that. So maybe it will change as early as 2027, but yeah, it does kind of have to do with the new test and the scoring and all of that. So I don't know, maybe they'll go to 2 months on, 1 off. I don't know. So
Did you say it's the first month of each quarter?
So as of now, it's January, April, July, October. And that's how it is again in 2026. So I'll mention the end. So the beginning of the 30 months is the day you get your score. So it's that score release date. The end of the 30 months, we want to give you every possible day you possibly can. So for the end, all you have to do is take the test. So in my example, it was May 7th, 2028. Let's say I've gotten 3 sections done. I took my 4th. I've failed it a couple times. Man, now I'm getting stressed. I can literally take a test on that day, May 7th, 2028. And if I pass it, I'm good. Even if I don't get the passing score for 2 more weeks. So remember, at the beginning, it was when you got your score. At the end, it's the day you sit for the exam. So just to make sure you know, trying to help you out as much as we possibly can. So that's how you'll do all the scheduling. You will, so like I said, you will kind of apply. We use the word apply kind of for every time you want to sit for a new section. But essentially you'll be applying probably a few times, because we certainly don't encourage you to select all 4 sections for the first 9 months. That would probably not set you up for success. So you probably will end up applying a few times in order to pass the entire CPA exam. The first time is when it will take about 3 weeks, because that's when we're going through and making sure you've satisfied the requirements. When you apply every time after that, it'll literally be, the next day. And now that it's online, it might even be immediate. I'm not sure if someone will have to go in, and a human might actually have to look at something, but then that turnaround will literally be like a day or 2, when you're ready to start scheduling for future ones. So that's all good news. All right. So when you're done with your exam, if you pass the 4 sections, or should I say when you pass the 4 sections, congratulations, you're good. You have passed the CPA exam. There's no more clocks ticking. You don't have to apply for licensure within any certain amount of time. Once you pass the exam, you pass the exam, and then you can apply for licensure whenever you complete your experience, or whenever your life is ready to do that. So that's good. And the online licensure application, really easy. Everything is online. So you can pay your fees there. You can upload any documentation you need to, like those experience forms. You can upload those there. You can email them to us separately, but you can upload them there, and that all is nice and easy. You have to pay your application fee, and then if you want, so there is a fee every time you renew your license. There's a license renewal fee. John can tell you that. So the first time, and normally it's 2 years, your license will renew every 2 years in your birth month, whether it's odd or even. So if you were born in July of 2003, then you will renew your license July 2027, July 2029, July 23, like that. So every 2 years in that fee. So at the beginning, though, your first licensure period will just get you to that point. It's a little confusing. So your first licensure period could be only 6 months, or it could be almost 2 years. So we'll kind of prorate your first license fee to kind of fit in with how long it's going to be. So you'll have to pay, you can either pay that upfront or pay it after we approve your license. So just making sure you're aware. If you want to check out all the fees, they're not super high, but there are some fees involved in life. As with everything, we have a webpage for all the fees if you want to get into that. Just real quick, here's the website. Make a bookmark for it. You'll be on it a lot, hopefully, because we have a lot of good information for you there. You can see across the top, there's the various tabs. If you click on applicants there, then there's all the information you need. You can go under communications and outreach. We have a lot of our cool videos. My team does a lot of really good videos, including some fun Halloween videos that we've done 2 years in a row. We are working on our next Halloween video. So follow us on social media to see that. So everything there under applicants, you can find the experience forms too, because if you click on applicants, then it will ask you whether you're an exam applicant or a licensure applicant. So you can find the exam forms under the licensure applicant, because that's when you'll need those. And there's just a link to click and you can get your forms right there. All right, so here's our email addresses. We are here to help. Those are our leadership there. That's Yen Tu. She is our CDA president there in green in the middle. Christian Latta is on the right. She's our vice president. She is a CPA. Yen Tu is a public member. And then on the left is Doug Aguilera, Bay Area guy, CPA as well. He's secretary treasurer. So those are our fearless leaders of the CBA. And then there's some email addresses for you to jot down. Outreach is the one that comes to me and my team. So if you have any just random questions about anything you heard tonight, feel free to email us there. If you have specific questions regarding the exam application or the license application, there are those two right there, exam info, licensing info. And then by all means, please follow us on social media. We'll keep you, we're going to make a big deal as soon as this bill is signed. We're excited. Another video that I recorded will be ready to go. And, we have fun on there. Instagram is one of our newest ones. We just cracked 500 followers, which is a little embarrassing. So we need your help to get that number up a little. So _CBA News, if you could follow us on Instagram, we would love that. LinkedIn, we're getting up to 10,000. So we're a little more respectable there. But those are our social media channels. Please follow us on there. We have a lot of helpful tips and information for you there. All right, that's all I got. Any more questions about any of that? Questions about the, any of the NTS, licensure, application, exam?
Just about, I'm assuming we won't get these slides sent to us. Is there a way I could see that one of the slides before we go? Was toward the beginning about the core.
I'll put something up for that. David, can we get the slides? I know we're having some trouble.
Yeah, well, I'll have to maybe cut a couple of the ones out. I don't know why I may be able to email them within my building, but for some reason your email didn't
It could be.
We could either try another email, or like I said, I could send you a zip file or something.
Yeah, we'll figure it out. So we'll make them available. I'm gonna give you my contact information here in a minute. You can reach out to me and I'll figure out a way to make them available.
The Zoom is recorded, so you can go back.
Yeah, you can also, what I'll be doing, guys, is I'll be providing the link to the Zoom recording for folks as well. David, anything else? Any other questions, I should say? No? Okay, let's give David a hand again.
All right. Well, yeah, thank you, everybody. Just, I just want you to remember we want to get you there. We're here to say yes. We'll come up with ways to get you there. To be a CPA and, now you kind of know a little bit about us. Don't be afraid of us. Yeah, we're this government agency, but we're all with the same goals. So we want to help you with success, getting your CPA and then throughout your career. So,
Apply and told you didn't meet the qualifications, they don't come to your house and, take you away or anything. They say,
No.
okay, you have 1 year to correct any deficiency. So there's nothing wrong with submitting your application and being told, hey, you're a class short. You go and you take the class, you resubmit it, and you're approved, right? So
yep.
it's not the IRS.
Yeah. We don't put your picture up on a wanted sign. We don't throw darts in the CBA office at your picture. You're okay. We want to help you.
David, can you stop sharing? I'm gonna put something up. I don't know if you want to stay with us, or you want to get on with your evening, it's up to you.
I'll probably jump off. I'm a big
Okay.
baseball fan, so I want to check out the games.
Oh,
I saw
okay.
Yankees just beat the Red Sox at the last minute, so I was excited.
Oh, okay. That evens
Anyway.
up, that's it. Okay, well, thank you, David, and again, thanks for being in touch, okay?
Definitely. All right. Good luck, everyone. Nice to meet you all. See you soon.
Okay, guys, I'm gonna share my screen with a couple of things. I'm gonna ask everybody to come up and talk a little bit about Becker, and the reason I'm doing this, and I think it segues a little bit. So what I wanted to put up is this information about the CPA appliance program here at Golden Gate University. This is the program that I lead under this is here. And what you can do is we have 4 classes that line up with 4 parts of the CPA exam. So there's the core classes, we talk about audit and regulation. So accounting 380 lines up with the core auditing class that everybody has to take that exam. So you take that class. We use the Becker materials that Lupe is going to talk about to teach the class. You finish the class, and then assuming you've met the eligibility requirements to sit for the exam, you sit for the exam after that class is over. So that is tailored lecturing to the CPA exam. Okay, we also have this accounting 377 that lines up with the FAR, and I'm showing you when those classes will run. 2 classes run every trimester here at GGU, so it would be a rotating schedule, for example, not shown here, but in the fall of 2026, again, kind of 380, 381 would run again. And so it keeps rotating like that. So the core section, auditing, the accounting 377 core section for financial accounting reporting FAR, and then class 379 for the regulation core section. That's the core section. Now, to your question, there are 3 discipline sections. One is information system and controls that a person can choose to take. We don't have a class that lines up with that at this time. One is tax compliance and planning. I keep wanting to flip planning and compliance, tax compliance and planning. That's another discipline section that a candidate can choose. And then the third discipline, we do have a class for, that's accounting 381, business accounting and reporting. I have started this class because I believe that there is a strong nexus between your passing FAR, which everyone must pass, and the information that comes into the business accounting and reporting. So by studying for FAR, you are in effect starting to chip away at the business accounting and reporting class, and then we'll add additional information that's necessary for that. Okay. So the 3 sections to your 3 disciplines to your question is FAR that you see on the screen. This is accounting and reporting, tax compliance and planning, TCP, and information system and controls. We're understanding from just a little discussion that this has the highest pass rates of the 3 disciplines, but people are saying it's hard. So I'm those 2 pieces of information don't reconcile for me. I'm of the opinion, if I'm taking the exam, I'm taking this one. If you are an information system control type enthusiast, then that would be the discipline, but you choose those disciplines. 3 cores, bar, audit, regulation, you must take. Okay, we use Becker material for these classes. We have a very, very nice price for the Becker material. So I recommend you get it through us. Okay, because you're not gonna get much of a better price. And we have some favorable tuition rates for those 4 classes. That's a CPA applied program. Okay, so you get your masters of science in accounting and data analytics, and in accounting and data analytics, and then you can concentrate on the CPA applied if you want to, or you could just take those classes as standalone certificate. Okay. Okay, Lupe, last but not least, she's gonna talk about being successful on the exam and using the material that we use in those CPA applied classes. Do you want to put your slides there, Mother?
Yes.
Okay, I'll put you in slideshow. And do you need the clicker?
Oh, that'd be great, yes.
I have my clicker.
If not, I can just click on the.
I have it. I have this fancy sheet that I can take it out of, so I want to show it off.
All right, well, I'm not gonna take too much time, because David did such a great job of explaining the process and, kind of an overview of the exam. So I'm gonna go as quickly as possible, because I know you guys have had a long day already. But did you have a question?
Yeah, on the
Yeah.
last slide.
Last slide for your,
Yeah, I am actually pursuing my master's in finance and the 4 accounting courses that were mentioned, I do not have any of them in my coursework. So is the only way that I need to take those additional? Or I can maybe replace some of the courses in my current program with these accounting programs? Is that a possibility?
You're a finance person?
Yeah.
I don't know, are they accepting any accounting electives in the finance?
I'm not familiar with the details of that degree program. That is something that you need to ask Anita, who is the chair of that department. And we do have electives that are accepted, but I'm not sure what they accept. I'm not sure how many electives she accepts. So we can ask her that.
So you have to look to the requirements of the finance program. You can ask them, theoretically, hypothetically. Let's say they let you have 1 accounting elective to meet your requirements. You could take one of these classes, yeah. And I have flyers, by the way, of the club, that slide that I had up.
Yeah.
So if you want something to take away with that, I can
Yeah.
give you the flyer for that.
Thank you.
awesome. Any other questions about that?
I'm into accounting and data analytics, so what's I'm done with my master, and can I take my test? Or like I take this unit anyway. The EAT and do I need to take it or like? I can.
If you do the CPA applied concentration, you can use all 4 of those classes towards the masters. Do we have any bachelor students in here? If you're a bachelor student and you're completing your bachelor's, take the 4 classes to complete your bachelor's. And those same 4 classes count to start your master's degree. It's a pretty, I feel like I should be standing in front of community colleges, telling people, hey, don't go to San Francisco State, San Jose State, come to Golden Gate, because in the long term, you're saving money because you're completing your bachelor's. You're getting materials to pass the CPA exam, you're passing the exam, and you're starting on your master's. I think in the long run, I've never crunched the numbers and had them audited, but I'm thinking you're saving money in the long term by going that option.
Awesome. Any other questions on that part? Awesome, okay. Well, I'm just here to talk about Becker. So Becker's been around for almost 70 years. And we've been the leading brand for course prep for the CPA exam. So we actually, since 2007, not sure if you've heard of the Elijah Watts Sells Award, but those are folks who take the CPA exam first time and pass with a 90 or higher. And 90% of those winners studied with Becker. And then in 2023, 98% of those winners used Becker. So we pride ourselves in what we do, and we have a wonderful product team who really keep up with the blueprint for the AICPA and really want to make sure that you guys have the material you need to prep for that exam. So David kind of went through the test dates, so I'm not going to go too deep into this. It will change in 2026 a little bit, but pretty similar model. This is just kind of an overview of what to expect in the CPA exam. So you have the 3 core and then the 1 discipline. Each exam consists of 5 testlets, which is about 4 hours, up to 4 hours. You have up to 4 hours to take the exam. 2 of those testlets are multiple choice questions, and depending on how many questions are in each section of the exam, which can range between 50 to 82 questions, you can split that into, and that's how many questions you will find on each testlet. The task-based simulations, which are problem case scenario, those are going to be consistent of 3 testlets. So about 4 hours, you have 2 testlets, it'll be about 45 minutes. And then the task-based simulations will take about an hour each, so about 4 hours. You have 1 15-minute off the clock break, so within that 4-hour range. You can take as many breaks as you want, it'll just count against your time, so kind of keep that in mind. You see the score of 75 to pass. You can take the exam, it's a uniform exam, you can take it anywhere in the United States. So if you happen to be traveling somewhere outside of California, you can take the exam there. You just go to the Prometric website that Dave mentioned and look for a local Prometric website according to what address it is. So kind of keep that in mind. This is the study. We don't have an exact study plan that you should take the exams. It's really up to you. But what I recommend is, depending on the discipline that you're choosing, you want to take the respective core before it. So as John mentioned, if you're going to choose FAR, take FAR before it. If you're going to choose information systems and control, take audit before it. And then if you're going to do tax compliance and planning, take RAID before it. So that's kind of just my suggestion in terms of the order. But also the recommendation is to take FAR first, because that's going to be your fundamentals to financial accounting, and that's going to be on the majority of the exams. And plus, it'll be fresh in your mind if you've taken your intermediate and advanced courses. That'll be a little bit more fresh in your mind than the other topics. So the best thing to do is to create a study plan. Each of you are going to have a different journey at this point. You might be going to school at the same time. You might be working full time. You might have family obligations. And so the best recommendation is to really create a study plan. So in our platform, we have this available to where you're going to be as detailed as possible in terms of entering when you're going to be available to study. So how many hours do you anticipate? When do you plan to take the exam? On average, a candidate spends about 3 months per section, which will also keep you on track for getting the exam done within a year. Sometimes firms offer a nice bonus if you could get that done within a year. But one of the key things is that you need to make sure that you're setting realistic expectations. So again, if you have this is based off of a full-time job and studying for the CPA exam. So this person will have a little bit more time than maybe those who, again, are taking care of family, going to school at the same time, and working. You might have a little bit less. There's also a pacer. If you are very thorough, you might need more hours during the week. If you're a quick person, you like to listen to your audiobooks at twice the speed, then you might want to go on the Reddit track. That means you're going to spend less hours per week on the exam. Also, if you want to include practice tests and flashcards, which are I think are very key into your study in terms of testing your retention of the material. Because what you learn in module 1, if you're spending 3 months on the section, you may forget by the time you get to module 6. So the unlimited practice tests, the flashcards are going to be key as part of your study journey. You can also include time off. If you plan to take a week off just for a break or vacation, you want to include that. But you can get as intricate as even saying how many hours in the day that you want to spend. And that way your study planner in general will come out to a very big overview of what that study journey is going to look like for you. It's your accountability partner, so take advantage of that. If you need to tell friends and family, hey, I'm studying for the CPA exam, please do, let them know what you're doing, especially your employer. They want to support you as much as you think. I've had someone who secretly was taking the exam and didn't get the support she needed because she didn't express what she was doing. And so you want to make sure that you can express. This is a very important part of your journey. This is your life investment. And this is also a good way for your family to support you and cheer you on in that endeavor. One other thing I do want to say also is you can print this. You can even have accountability groups if you have study groups. All of you might be studying for the same section or not, regardless if you are studying for the CPA exam, get a support group because it's a challenging exam. We have study groups on our website through Facebook and LinkedIn. So just make sure that you are not doing this alone. We do recommend that you get Becker to ensure that you have all the information that you'll need to prep. We have a Becker buffer in the course review. So that means we're throwing you thousands of questions when only about, again, 50 to 82 questions are on the sections of the exam. We're throwing you hundreds of task-based simulations when only 6 to 8 are going to be on the exam. So we're equipping you to be ready, but also to have that knowledge base because you just never know which questions are going to be on the exam. We have flexible learning options, so self-study, live online. We have an opportunity for you to also attend online lectures. You have an opportunity with John to attend live lectures with the courses he's providing. And then also mobile. If you're not with your laptop, you can actually sign up for your Becker material with another device. So your mobile device. So if you're commuting, you can listen to or run some flashcards through your mobile. You can print the flashcards if you want. So just kind of really up to you on how you want to take the study journey. It's not something that you can do overnight. Not like your classes. If you're a procrastinator like I was in college and you were up all night with Red Bulls and Celsiuses, that's not going to work for this exam. This is an investment of your time, again, for a return of investment in your life. We have some upcoming webinars that will help in terms of your journey as well. We have our national instructors who host these free webinars for you. So if you aren't able to attend them live, you can get an email or sign up for the on-demand webinars. They're complimentary. We have one coming up that's going to go over just the CPA exam or the course review platform. Well, we also have one that I think was today that did the CPA study planner. So that will be available. So if you want to watch how that works, if you have the Becker material already and you want to start that study plan, go ahead and download that webinar. But go to the webinars off of our website. It's available to you to have review workshops as well, just to kind of get a sense of what's the accounting industry like, what are the different pathways, what do I do with my CPA license, as well as what are these different materials that Becker offers. All right, again, I zoomed by because I wanted to be mindful of your guys' time and attention. So this is my link tree. It all has all your resources as well. But I cover all of Northern California and Northern Nevada. So if you're looking for a point of contact with Becker, I'm the person. I could become your best friend because Becker, not only you're going to possibly use Becker for your course review material, but we also have continued professional education that you'll need to keep up with your license. So just as much as David's going to be your best friend, I can be your best friend too. Any questions? Yes.
You mentioned that each section people typically study about 3 months. Of the top performers on the exam, like how many hours a week, day
Yeah.
are they typically going at?
Great question. So on average, the core sections are going to be about 90 hours. The disciplines will take you about, on average, 70 to 110 hours. So 110 being bar, it's a little bit more in-depth in content because of the technical accounting side. TCP is the lowest just because most of it's application. So you'll probably get more experience on the job than the remembering and understanding portion of the exam.
I will give you a study schedule.
Ooh,
So I'll
perfect.
plan your life for you.
Yay!
as to how much, what you should be doing Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. How long it should take you, the steps you should go through, to get to where you need, but, for example, we started FAR in September. So all of September, all of October, all of November, half of December, that's 3.5 months of studying. It is my estimate that you need about 20 hours per week during that time to get through the material. Then what I have the students do is they take the exam before the next trimester starts, whatever date that is. I guess for this time, it would be before that first week in January when the next trimester starts, so that you have all this information in your head. You go take your exam, you test. You dump that information from that exam and start on the next one. And so under that scenario, you know, take you took one class, which I recommend per trimester, it would take you 4 trimesters to get through the 4 exams.
Nice. You have another accountability partner. Any other questions?
I'm more your boss. As we do have the grading, so
Yeah.
I can go in and look to see that you're doing your homework and so forth, so. I guess I'm a partner.
What was the staggering 98% of your students get this award?
Oh, so there's the Elijah Watt Sells Award. So those are awarded to those candidates who got a 90 or higher. I think it's 95. 90 or higher on their CPA scores for all 4 sections.
They're all coming from you guys.
And so, yeah, so as of 2007, 90% of them used Becker, and then 2023 was our high percentage of 98% of those winners used Becker.
I had one of those in my class. And so what they do is they give you this big ugly looking thing. And you can wear it around your neck to the club and stuff. But more importantly, you can put on your resume, you know, Elijah Watt Sells Award. You've heard of Deloitte, the firm Deloitte. Deloitte used to be called Deloitte Haskins and Sells. The cell in that was the cell that started this award for, you know, people that get, I thought it was 90.5%
Something like that.
or better on all 4 exams in a calendar year.
Yeah.
So if you plan to get the Watt Sells Award, start taking the exam in January. Don't start taking exams in September because you will automatically be disqualified to do the Watt Sells, unfortunately. You see that. The other thing that's scary about that award, if you get that award, they give you a pin that you can put on, but you have to put the pin on before you put your shirt on. It's a very painful process. Never mind. That's a joke. That's a joke.
Testing it.
Not a very good one.
Attention.
Anything else, guys? Okay, now, very important, very important. Thank you, Lupe. Let's get Lupe now. One more thing. That I want to put up, very important. One second, guys. Be patient, you're used to this. Okay, this is the rubric. For the students that are going to have to write the 2-page paper. About what this is all about. Okay. In here, you see that there are certain elements that I asked you to respond to. And one of the elements that I asked you to respond to was provide a brief summary calling out 3 main takeaways from the presentation. So your little summary. Okay, so hear me. One of your 3 takeaways is CPA equals happiness. You don't have to misspell like I think I did. CPA equals what? Happiness. I'm doing that so that now everybody has to watch it to be able to turn in that paper, because when we go through, the teaching team will be looking to see that one of your takeaways, everybody say, is CPA equals happiness. So now everybody has to sit through this like you did. Unless you do something silly like go and tell them that. I wouldn't do it. Under the, what do we call that, the honor code? That would be a violation of the honor code. Okay. All right, good. So I have the sign-in sheet up here. Please do not kill each other to come up and initial next to your name. That's my Stanford students. It came. You're on here, come up, initial next to your name, so I know you were here. Or if you are a Golden Gate student, you're probably gonna have to write your name on this list. Okay, because I didn't necessarily put it here. Behind it. If you're a Golden Gate student, you'll have to write your name. And you're assuming you're in my class. Okay, thank you, guys. Drive careful. Everyone drive carefully, please. It's dark out there now. It's a little slick. Okay, drive carefully. Now, thank my dear. Okay, thanks, guys. Drive carefully.
Wait, I was like, oh, I'm inspired. I'm like, maybe I should just CPA myself.